I watched my son sign my name to a trust one never agreed to, handing my home, my savings, and even my war medals to his wife's family. He thought it was foolproof. He did not know the notary was mine, the pen was not ordinary, and the signature he forged would end with him walking out of court in handcuffs. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment letting us know where you're tuning in from. My name is Walter Pike. I am 70, a widower, and a grandfather to a girl who still calls me Pops even when her mother corrects her. I spent 42 years coaxing stubborn wires through Alaska winters and Arizona summers until the day my knees informed me I was done. I poured my savings into a paid-off house, a cabin near Willow Creek, and a modest portfolio that grew like a slow, careful garden. When my wife died, family became my anchor. That anchor turned into an anchor chain around my neck the day my son, Nathan, married Noelle. Noelle came with a smile that never reached her eyes and a brother named Trevor who called himself a legacy architect. They spoke softly about efficiency and modern estate strategies. The first time we sat down together, Trevor slid a leather folio toward me like a magician offering a card. "Simple, Walter," he said. "An irrevocable trust. You put everything in. It protects you from taxes, nursing home forfeiture, and probate. Nathan becomes successor trustee. If anything happens, he can act very quickly." "If anything happens," I repeated. "Such as?" Trevor smiled. "Life happens. We plan so no one has to make hard choices under stress." Noelle touched my arm. "It is what responsible families do." I left the folio on their kitchen island, next to a glass container labeled gluten-free cookies that my granddaughter, Becca, was not allowed to touch because Noelle was saving them for a brunch that never happened. That detail should not have irritated me, but it did. Something about saving sweetness for later when there was a child in the room. I brought the folio home and read every page. I had signed my share of union contracts. Language is just wiring with ink. The trust Trevor designed was clever in a predatory way. On its face, it looked protective. In practice, it would lock away my assets under a trustee I did not control. There was a springing power of attorney tucked in the back that activated if any physician wrote the words diminished capacity. There was also a no contest clause that would disinherit any beneficiary who questioned the trustee's judgment. A week later, I received a call from a clinic I had never been to. "We are confirming your memory evaluation with Dr. Layton for Tuesday," the receptionist said. "I did not schedule that," I answered. "Oh," she replied, "Noelle scheduled it. We already have your paperwork." My hands went cold. The anchor chain tightened. That weekend, Becca slept over at my house. She is 9 and honest in the way only children and men who have nothing left to prove can be. "Mom says after the doctor says you forget things, Uncle Trevor can help Daddy take care of everything so you do not get scammed," she said, feeding my mud a contraband strip of bacon. "But I thought we take care of you." "We do," I said, and something settled in my chest, heavy at first, then very clear. Monday morning, I visited an attorney named Rosa Mendez, recommended by my fishing buddy who sorts out divorces and ranch disputes for half the valley. Rosa listened without interrupting. She handled my father's medals with a reverence I liked, then set them back on my desk. "Do you want to fight them in the open or catch them in the act?" she asked. "Catch," I said. "Cold." "Then you will do nothing dramatic," she said. "You will not. You will attend your evaluation, at my office, with our doctor. And you will sign the trust they think they made, while actually signing something else." She drafted my real plan while Trevor prepared my trap for me. Rosa created the Pike Family Foundation to fund vocational scholarships for electricians and medical assistants. She built a living trust with me as trustee and Becca as a contingent beneficiary at 25. There was a measured, narrow gift for Nathan, enough to be kind without funding a betrayal. And there was a clause: any person who exerted undue influence would be deemed to have predeceased me. Rosa also bought me a pen. It records audio, she said, dropping it into my palm like a tiny iron nail. And it is a fountain pen you will love anyway. The memory evaluation happened in Rosa's conference room. Our neurologist asked me my address, my grandchildren's names, and drew a clock. I drew the clock more accurately than he did. He smiled and wrote, "Cognitive function intact." I allowed Trevor to schedule his own evaluation 2 days later. At his clinic. With his doctor. I answered every question and told every story while the fountain pen in my shirt pocket listened like a patient friend. That evening, Noelle arrived at my house with a casserole and her church voice. "I made spinach lasagna," she said. "Nathan has a late meeting, so I thought I would keep you company." We ate in my kitchen. Halfway through her second helping, she reached into her purse and withdrew the leather folio, the same snake with a new skin. "I had Trevor simplify everything," she said. "This is just signatures, Walter. We can even notarize right here. I brought Selena from my book club. She is a notary." Selena wore perfume that could stun a horse. Her stamp sat on my table like a loaded weapon. The folio contained Trevor's trust, now streamlined. The springing power of attorney had become a current one. The successor trustee box had a neat typed name, Nathan Pike. The place for my signature waited, as patient as a trap. "I trust family," I said lightly, "but I get confused. Could we read through it together?" "We have already done that," Noelle said, smiling tight. "Why worry?" "Because the man who taught me electricity taught me to always check, even if you wired it yourself." She laughed like I had told a joke. Behind her smile, the hunger was naked. We read. I nodded. I placed Trevor's document beside another set of papers printed on identical paper stock, clipped in an identical folder. Mine. Rosa's. I had memorized Trevor's paragraphs, his habits with commas, his favorite phrases. In my version, I had left almost everything word for word, except the trustee name, the power of attorney, and 3 lines on page 15 where the text declared that any notarization not performed by a licensed notary in the state of Arizona would void the document. Selena was licensed in Utah. "You can sign the tabs," Noelle said, sliding the pages around like cards in a child's game. "Then Selena will do her stamp." I lifted the fountain pen. It felt heavy and balanced. I signed Rosa's trust, not Trevor's, and spoke conversationally while I wrote. "I appreciate you helping Nathan with planning," I said. "He has always been impulsive." "That is why I am here," she replied. "To protect him from himself and you from complicated things." I turned a few more pages, not mine, but Trevor's, until I reached the signature line. I left it blank, then set the folder on the table while I went to get coffee. When I returned, my signature bloomed on the line I had left empty. Noelle's hand hovered above it, the pen trembling slightly. Selena was already pressing her stamp onto the bottom corner. "Faster this way," Noelle chirped, "too bright. You get tired signing." "I am not tired," I said. "That one was just a copy," she said quickly. "We can do the real one now." "Of course," I said, and kept my voice mild, like a lake at dawn that hides its depth. I signed my true documents where the tabs marked them and slid Trevor's folio back across the table. "Your copy," I said. They left satisfied. Noelle hugged me at the door and told me I was doing the right thing for the family. Her perfume lingers even now if I think about it too hard. I washed the dishes and fed the dog and sat down in my chair with the fountain pen and played back what it had heard. "We need that cabin sold before winter," Trevor's voice said at one point, captured from a phone call Noelle took in my kitchen. "File the papers at 8 a.m. tomorrow before he gets to the recorder. My contact will rush it." The next morning, Nathan met me in front of the county building with a smile so stiff it might crack. "Dad," he said, "Trevor told me you signed. This will make everything smoother." "I am sure it will," I replied. "Why do you have Mom's necklace?" He flinched. The necklace lay against his collarbone, my wife's cross, the one I had given him to hold for Becca when she turns 18. He had taken it out of my safe 2 weeks ago to clean the clasp. I had not asked for it back because sometimes a trapdoor is not in the floor, sometimes it is in a memory. Inside, Noelle tried to file Trevor's trust. Selina stood at her side, stamp ready. The clerk looked at Selina and shook her head. Utah, the clerk said, returning the papers. Not valid here. We can come back, Noelle snapped, catching her temper like a falling plate. Or, said Rosa from behind them, we can do this now. Rosa has a way of filling a room without raising her voice. She placed my real trust on the counter and handed over my notarized deeds transferring my house and cabin into it. The notary stamp belonged to a woman who had notarized my union benefits 35 years ago. The clerk recognized her name and smiled. Noelle went pale. Trevor arrived out of breath and immediately recovered his slick. You have made a mistake, Walt, he said, as if we were gentlemen discussing golf. The family trust was filed yesterday. No, I said softly. Your forgery was not. He laughed then, short and ugly. You cannot call a misunderstanding a felony. I do not need to, I said. The pen will. The fountain pen's recording played clearer than church bells. Noelle's voice. Trevor's instructions. Selina rehearsing her commission number in case anyone asked. Then there was the soft scratch of a signature that was not mine and Selina saying, there, just like the sample. Nathan stared at the floor. The clerk looked at Rosa. Rosa nodded once. She had already sent the audio files and her investigator's notes to the district attorney at dawn. The security guard near the metal detector had a sheriff's badge sewn onto his sleeve. He turned his head slightly as his radio crackled to life. 2 plainclothes officers walked in, spoke to Noelle and Trevor quietly, and guided them away. The handcuffs were silvery and ordinary. Nothing dramatic, no shouting, no struggle. Just a click that you hear when you finally tighten the last bolt on a structure you have been building for weeks. Nathan did not move. Son, I said. Becca has piano at 4. I will pick her up at 3:30. He nodded without lifting his eyes. Dad, he whispered, the word small, like it had found its way back from a place it had been hiding. I did not know about the stamp. Trevor said we were protecting you. You signed my name, I said. Do you think I did not notice the way you make your P like a 9? 28 years of watching you write speeding ticket checks taught me that. He winced. It is a ridiculous detail to remember about your own son. It is also true. Becca played Ode to Joy a little too fast that afternoon. Children rush through joy until life teaches them to linger. On the way to ice cream, she asked if her mother was in trouble. Yes, I said. But trouble is good when it keeps people from doing worse. Are you sad? She asked. I am angry, I said, and relieved. I am going to be careful with both. Charges were filed. Forgery. Conspiracy. Attempted financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, a phrase that made me spit when I read it, but I left it where it fell. Nathan pled to a lesser count for his part and received probation, community service, and a court order to attend financial ethics classes that, in any decent world, would be mandatory before anyone was allowed a checkbook. Noelle's brother is very calm on television. He tried the same calm at his arraignment. It did not work. In the quiet that follows a storm, you decide what you will plant in the cleared spaces. I did not disown my son. I removed his name from my trustee line, left a small bequest for him, and wrote a letter that will reach him upon my death. The letter is not a lecture. It is a story about how his mother and I lifted him out of a river he fell into when he was 5 and how he kicked and screamed and would not admit he was drowning until we put his feet on the bank and he saw the current without his legs in it. I put the cabin into the foundation with a condition that it will host 1 week every summer for veterans who cannot afford a vacation, their families included. The house remains mine until I do not need it. Then it becomes Becca's home if she wants it, on the condition that she never locks the freezer without keeping ice cream in it for a child who has had a hard day. At the first board meeting of the foundation, I looked around the table at a retired nurse, a school counselor, Rosa, and the electrician who taught me the right way to wire a three-way switch in 1979. I told them the truth: this exists because someone tried to steal from me. Let our response be building something no thief can carry. I see Nathan twice a week now. He arrives early and cleans up without my asking. He returns my wife's necklace to the safe and then asks to take it back out so he can hold it for Becca when she is old enough. I do not yet answer that request. Some answers are earned over time. Trevor filed an appeal. He lost. Noelle has a new attorney. The old one withdrew when she insisted it was all a misunderstanding. She says I destroyed the family. I say my pen simply told the truth. The last time I picked up Becca from school, she ran toward me with a painting of a house under a blue sky. There were 3 figures in front of it. 2 tall ones, 1 small. The tall ones did not touch. The small one held both their hands. "Pops," she said, "that is you. That is me. That is Daddy. And Mommy?" I asked. "She is working on being kind," Becca said in the solemn way that children deliver verdicts. "When she is done, maybe she can be in the picture." I framed the painting and set it on the mantel beside my father's medals. If anyone asks about the pen, I tell them it writes smoothly. If anyone asks about revenge, I tell them I prefer repairs that cut like a clean blade, not a dull saw. And if anyone approaches me with a shiny folio and the word simple, irrevocable, and trust in the same sentence, I smile and say, I have one of those already. It is made of people who will not sell me for a clause.
Hello everyone, and thank you for watching. I truly hope you enjoyed listening to this story as much as I enjoyed creating it. If you did, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel to help support the creation of more stories like this. Have a great day or evening.